fighting for your rights in her satin tights.
Wonder Woman. I don't really know the tune. So
That's quite evident from you.
Yeah, sorry. So every now and again, like especially in places like the kitchen, where I'll like rock up behind you and go Wonder Woman, and then I'll think, is that actually the song though?
No, the answer's no.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm waiting for you to give me the correct tune.
Well, we can put the music in so that the listeners can know.
They'll know.
Yes,
They'll know.
They'll know. It's here.
It's here. Are you all right? Because you've been really excited about this for quite some time.
Yes, and although I've not read any reviews, I have picked up in mixed reports. I think the Wikipedia article of this will probably say.
You, I was about to say you banned Wonder Woman from your Twitter, but you are not Jack Dorsey. So
yeah, Gal Gadot, get out.
When you sort of like mute words.
Mute words.
So you've muted it. But you've managed to pick up that there's been mixed reviews, have you?
Yes, I've seen people say it's a mess, and I have seen people say it's a lot of fun.
See, I haven't seen anything, so
okay.
I'm quite chuffed.
And you know what? I think those two. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. I think it can be a lot of fun, but a mess.
I quite like the idea that there's people that at completely different ends of the spectrum, because that really leaves it wide open, doesn't it? Whereas if everyone's going, "Oh, it's amazing," and then you watch it and you don't feel it's quite as amazing as other people, there's always that sense of like, "Oh."
Absolutely. But yeah. So we weren't able to watch this when it came out in cinemas because cinemas around here were closed.
Yeah.
And then cinemas around everywhere were closed shortly afterwards. So it's now available on Sky for the princely sum of £16 to rent.
$15.99. That extra penny.
Why didn't you just price it £19.84? But yeah, so we're going to pay an extortionate amount to rent.
I've just got that now. Sorry. I totally couldn't understand why you were saying £19.84. That would be a really good idea. Yes, I've got it now. Thank you. That's a good joke. Well done, love.
If you can't tell, it's a bit earlier than we normally record.
yeah, it's midday.
It's midday, so yeah. Elaine's still not quite fed and woken.
I haven't had lunch yet. Sorry, go on.
I really want to do a joke about having not seen the previous 1,983 films, but... yeah.
Oh, that would probably be another one that would take me a while to get. But yeah, I get that as well.
Yeah.
That's a terrible joke.
Yeah.
Move on.
Okay. Right.
Should we get into it?
Should we get into it? Yeah.
My life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Have you ever been in love?
A long, long time ago. You?
So many times. Yeah, all the time.
Welcome to the future. Life is good, but it can be better. And why shouldn't it be? All you need is to want it. Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
I can save today, but you can save the world.
Steve.
Diane. Now, I take what I want in return. Everyone will see. Needs you. You know what you need to do.
Nothing good is born from lies. And greatness is not what you think.
art.
That's just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
Hello, Mark here. Just a little warning, we were so excited to see Wonder Woman that the second we get back into talking about it after watching the film, we go straight into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film yet, I'd recommend stopping here. Well,
I sense that you're not happy with Wonder Woman 1984. What's your instant reaction, Mark?
I mean, that's a mess. I think 2/3 of it, I was enjoying the mess. And then, in kind of a way, like, we've been waiting for blockbusters all year, and I kind of see that kind of like when you've been on holiday and you've had really nice food, but all you want is a horrible Burger King from the airport on the way home.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello. Do you not know me at all? That last act was an absolute mess. But I think the first two acts, although seemingly written by people who had never written a film before in their lives. Oh, don't give me that face. I was just happy to be in that world. I think the look, the stylings, and the characters brought me through it, and whilst it was all absolutely bonkers, I was quite enjoying it. And then, I mean, by the way, this film was 2.5 hours long.
Yes. Yes, it was.
If ever there was a film that didn't need to be 2.5 hours long.
I'm so tired. It was midday when we started. It's nearly time to go and,
We had so many plans for today.
So I was just about, it's nearly time to go upstairs, maybe have a lie down.
I didn't hate it, as a lot of people have been having. I had fun for 2/3 of it. I don't think it's well made. I don't think it's well made. I don't think it's well written. I think it's appallingly written. But I think the cast and the aesthetics and the world that they set it in carried me along for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours out of the 2.5 hour runtime.
So my instant reaction is very much like yours. I think the aesthetics were brilliant. I love being in the 1980s world. I thought the acting was fine. It's a big old blockbuster, so I'm not necessarily looking for some beautifully when you watch all those lovely independent films that are very quiet. We've talked a lot recently about you liking, like, when we did our top films of 2020, you talked a lot about quieter films with really intricate pieces of acting.
Yes.
And this doesn't necessarily lend itself. A big blockbuster doesn't necessarily lend itself, although there were some quieter moments and some emotional moments, small emotional moments, but there were some there. So acting great, the 80s great, the world building great. I enjoyed all of that. I liked the blockbuster nature of it. I thought the relationship between what we know as Cheetah, although I don't think she's called that in the film, but Kristen Wiig and Diana Prince, Wonder Woman, I thought there's something really, really fascinating and interesting about women in competition with each other, and someone who you think might have it all not necessarily having it all, and all of that sort of stuff. So I thought that was a really interesting point. I really enjoyed the geopolitical issues that it was bringing up. I like the Trumpian vibes that were coming out. But I totally agree with you that once we got into that second half, something happened. And I know you talked about, like, the last act, but for me, I think it was a bit earlier than that. Something happened where I couldn't quite follow what the plot point was with the wishes and Max Lord as a character. I couldn't quite follow what people were asking for and why that mattered. Although I get the general point. And then it just, it just went a bit mad at the end, didn't it? With, now the nukes are going off and people are crying in the street, and it all seemed to be suddenly Armageddon at the end, and then it wasn't. And that was it.
This was like a 6-year-old telling you a story where nothing really makes sense, and you need to touch someone to do something, but then now you can just do it through a telly.
That's what little kids would do, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, how does that happen, dear? And they're like, well, it just does.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
just
right
does.
then.
Right, that's fine. Yeah, I think this was written by a 6-year-old.
It did seem to be quite young at times. It did seem to be more skewed for a younger audience. There were lots and lots of shots of younger kids. One hilarious, I mean, it's not meant to be hilarious, but one hilarious point where some children were in peril, and it was just like a scene from an Armageddon-esque Independence Day film where there's a dog in the way of some water or some aliens, and she sweeps in to save them, which was ridiculous.
I'd challenge that. I think it's like something that's a parody of that. To me, that scene, there's lots of moments in this which reminds me of something like Mars Attacks, as opposed to Independence Day in itself. And it's like the president in this is like a cartoon president.
Yeah.
I'm just looked, and this is written by Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, directed by Patty Jenkins.
And written by...
written by Patty Oh dear.
And Jeff Johns.
Who's Jeff Johns?
Jeff Johns has written... He wrote Aquaman. He's also written a lot of the TV DC universe. So I think he did a lot of Smallville, doing a lot of The Flash, Titans, Young Justice. I wonder if he might be a comic book... Yeah, he is a comic book writer. I think that's how I know him mostly.
Okay.
I wonder if that is the original story.
I know there were some elements of it that came from the comics, because when the trailer came out, people were saying, oh, it's the Invisible Jet. And I had never heard of the Invisible Jet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but people had seen clips of them with the fireworks over the top of the jet and worked out that no one could see them, so therefore it went back to the comic.
Which also means that radar doesn't work.
Yeah.
Apparently.
But also the costuming she has at the end with the big golden armour, I think that comes from the comics as well. As I understand it, I am no comic book fan.
Would you recommend it?
I think it's a really good blockbuster. I think it's got some major issues in the second half.
I'm sorry, really good?
Okay, well, it's a bit like what you say. We haven't seen one for such a long time.
Yeah.
I can totally understand why the reviews, and I haven't seen them, but why the reviews might be mixed, like you say, with some people saying it's awful and some people saying, oh, I had a really good time, because I swung between that the entire way through. Oh, brilliant, 80s, oh, there's a mall, oh, there's all the clothing, and, you know, but then part of me's going, oh, how long have we got left? How long, you know, especially in that second half, just constantly looking at the clock, trying to work out when it will finish. You had your phone out quite a lot at points.
Just not so much deep diving into it, but I was not being held by this a lot of the time, and because it's so pulpy. But
we kept missing bits, didn't we? And then we had to rewind. And there were also some sections that I didn't, and I kept saying to you, I just don't understand, and I can't quite. We had to put subtitles on a couple of times. I mean, that's the only good thing of like being at home, is that you can do that, and you can pause when the phone rings, as it did for us. It pause when you want to go to the loo and do all of that. But I did really feel that, and maybe this is something for later on in the podcast, but anyway, I'm going to say it now. I really felt that I would have perhaps enjoyed this more. Not saying that it would forgive the things that I've said in terms of criticism, but I felt I would have enjoyed this more if we were sat in the cinema. It was so cinematic to begin with, you know, flying through the air, doing essentially Wonder Woman Ninja Warrior, waiting for Chris Kamara to come out, and sorry, joke for people watching Ninja Warrior UK there, but it just was so beautiful, and the scenes of the what are they called? The Amazonians? Have I got that right?
Yeah, they are called the Amazons.
Oh, thanks.
They're a race that can also get you a DVD the next day.
If they're in Prime.
Yeah.
Prime only, tick the box.
Yes, yeah.
Happy to be sponsored by Amazon, by the way.
Or if you want it a couple of days later, you get a little credit for free MP3 or something like that.
Okay, so that was kind of like our instant reaction. Shall we dive into it a little bit more now?
Yes.
You look amazing.
Do you think it's too tight?
I think it's just right. Wow.
Yeah. I'll take it.
I don't know where to start with this, if we're talking about the actual plot.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning, because I think this is something that was meant to pay off, and I don't think it did. But Diana is in, like, I know I've called it, like, it's a joke, but like Ninja Warrior. So she's going through all of these. It's like an Iron Woman, isn't it? She's going through all of these different events to win a prize against people who are much older than her.
Yes, yeah. For some reason, there is a child amongst these Amazons.
Yeah, because she's Diana. Because she's, like, brilliant.
But, yeah.
Young Diana.
No one's pointing out that there is a child amongst these people.
Well, isn't she, like, the Queen's daughter or something like that, so... You
didn't see 4-year-old Prince Harry. Well, you did see 4-year-old Prince Harry on It's a Knockout. Maybe this is what it's a version of.
I thought that was fine, because she's the Queen's daughter, so of course they're going to let her... She's, like, the best of her people and all of that, you know, for the future. So, yeah, fine. So she's going through hoops... She's jumping through the air. She's riding horses. Yeah. She's trying to... It had a bit of a... to begin with, it had a little bit of like a Harry Potter vibe when they were... It was like Quidditch on horses at one point.
I have the exact... We can come back to that, because I've got the exact same issue with this than I do with Quidditch. So that's quite interesting.
God. Right, okay. Yeah. Right, get that back on. So yeah, she goes through. She gets knocked off a horse, and she finds like a loophole, doesn't she? She finds a shortcut, but she misses one of the targets to show that, you know, it's like one of those things where you have to hit a particular point to be able to get to the end. So they know that she's cheated. She gets to the end. They don't let her, and then it's meant to be this story that she learns. Now, I was waiting for that to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the rest of the film. I think it's just been put in there, hasn't it? To be, right, we need to go back to the Amazons. We need to go back to her childhood.
We are contractually obliged to put Robin Wright in.
Oh, Robin Wright. Yeah, sorry.
yeah. I know it's set in 1984, but it's not Robin Wright pen. And her mother.
Oh, now, who's her mother?
Connie Nielsen.
What's Connie Nielsen from? Remind me.
She's in Gladiator. That's
it. Yes, she's the mother in Gladiator, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in 1 Hour Photo, and and in this she stares at from a big platform.
Yeah, she does. She doesn't have much to do.
But there is absolutely no need for this to be in there.
Yeah, not at all.
There is this assault course where they've got a full stadium of people. Mm-hmm. Yet most of the race takes place outside of the stadium.
Oh, yes.
Where
they don't have any screens.
No, it's just a ribbon rolls down a little bit halfway through just to tell you who's ahead.
Yes.
That's not a spectator sport.
No, it isn't.
And that's the problem I have with Quidditch. Quidditch is not like a sport would be.
But you can see it, because they're all within... Like, you've got the people who are in goal, although I suppose... Are you talking about, like, the seekers that can go
Quidditch makes absolutely no sense, because... As soon as you get the snitch, essentially you've won. So everything that's taken place before that makes no sense. It's like if Liverpool and Man United are playing each other, but they've got two people on the other side rolling dice, and if they get Yahtzee, then the people automatically win no matter what's happened.
Okay.
Like, Man United are 4-0 down. They really did Yahtzee right now.
You've really thought about this way too much.
I've been moaning about Harry Potter's Quidditch for a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
The Yahtzee thing's new, though. You've clearly thought of that recently. Anyway, so that bit there, lovely to see, looked lovely. That's the bit that I was saying I wanted to see it on the big screen, but no need for it whatsoever. And this moral that she's looked like, the moral of the story of, like, you've got to earn it, you've got to be... like, look how happy the woman who's won is, she's actually earned it, and you haven't. So I'm waiting for that, and now you've earned it to come back later on. No, it didn't. As far as I'm aware, unless you've seen it somewhere.
It's loosely in that, you know, you've wished something, but you're not going to get it.
Oh, okay.
But no, it doesn't tie up. This, I'm pretty sure this is just...
if it was meant to, it should have hit me slap bang in the face of like, right, there is the payoff, rather than you having to explain, oh yeah, she wished that she won, but someone told her that she couldn't win because that's cheating, so she's wished for Steve back, and now she has to give him up in order to win. Okay, but no.
Of all the things, let's cut it out.
Yeah.
And just because you've got Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright on contract, that didn't need it. No. Especially when it's 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, I know. 2.5 hours.
So, we go to the 80s.
80s, yay!
A mall.
Oh, the mall, the clothes. But completely lacking the 80s music. There was one, I was counting for it, because I was waiting for New Order to come in as well. I was waiting for Blue Monday because they used that in the trailer so heavily. There was one scene, and it's Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Zone. But they didn't even get to the bit where he shouts, "You're a long way from home, welcome to the pleasure zone." It was just bits of it at a party later on. I was really expecting this to be more 80s, more music, you know, like the trailer was.
Like Stranger Things. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think they had it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it could just be any time.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, by the end, you're in Cairo. I thought there was a bit of an Indiana Jones vibe going on there. You're travelling to the White House. Yeah, it could have been any time.
Yeah.
Any time at all.
And we were introduced to this MacGuffin.
Yes, the MacGuffin. I mean, it did look a little bit cheap, I have to say.
Well, I think it's meant...
Is it meant to?
I think it's meant to look like a monkey's paw.
Now, explain to me a monkey's paw, because they say this all the time in the film.
I was really proud that
understand.
I thought this was meant to look like a monkey's paw, and then they mentioned the monkey's paw. It's,
okay.
It's from classic literature of... It's like the genie in the lamp. Someone gets a monkey's paw that grants him 3 wishes.
Oh, so it's an... Oh, no. So it's an actual, like, an animal's paw.
Well, it's not real.
Oh, right, okay, so it's a fake...
It's no. I mean, it's in literature rather than...
Yeah, but that's what it's meant... Is it meant to be a real animal?
Yes, a monkey's paw,
Oh.
yeah. So with the 3... and it was like the 3 fingers coming up.
Right.
It also looked like something you get in a back corner around summers.
yeah.
But,
you did mention, oh, that looks a bit phallic, doesn't it? I was, don't get to say that in the cinema, do you, when you're really quiet throughout the whole film? But at home, when you're renting, you know, your film, you can say things like that.
And this, for some reason, gives people a wish.
Yeah.
And
It's a genie's lamp, like
yeah.
say.
I think Diana was a little bit too quick to accept that it was Steve coming back.
Okay, so Diana wishes for Steve, and yet, well, she doesn't know that she doesn't know at the time. She doesn't know it's like a wish thing. They read some Latin, don't they, that suggests that, you know, it'll make your dreams come true. And then she either gets asked, or she sort of wistfully looks off, and she sort of says, you know, I wish he would come back. Of course you would do, wouldn't you? That would be the first thing that you would think of. She's very low. You meant to think, because she's sitting in restaurants at the beginning, no one's sitting opposite her, and the waiter's then taking ages to clear away the plates of the other person, you know.
Yeah.
No one's talking to her.
But do you not, like... It would take me longer than 30 seconds. If I walked up to someone and said, "Oh, I'm your dead love of your life. Come back to life," I would expect some questions. Even if I knew anything about them, it would still be more than 30 seconds before we were kissing in a museum party.
And I was thinking, that's a bit public. I was really confused, because she sees this guy that kind of looks like a merged Chris Pine... someone almost like he looked like a cartoon, very cartoonish in his looks, like quite a bit like a sort of like a Buzz Lightyear Action Man type look, very square jawed, and
Desperate Dan.
He sort of like he stands out in the crowd because he looks quite different. He almost looks like he's got pilot-y clothes on.
Yes,
technical term. And then he like says random things to her about time, and she's like, "Don't say that to me." Like, that's the only thing Steve ever said to her. Like, it's like the only person in the world that could say that thing about time.
Yeah.
And then the camera twirls round loads of times, and then it turns into Chris Pine. And I got really confused. I was like, what? I just didn't understand what was going on, because my understanding was, okay, she's wished for him to come back. Why does he have to be in the body of someone else? And no one else can see Chris Pine in the film, because when we go into this guy's house that Chris Pine's living in, and he looks in the mirror, he looks like the guy. He doesn't look like Chris Pine. Why isn't he just Chris Pine, Mark?
It's Quantum Leap.
Yes.
I really wanted to say "oh boy" at some point. And Dean Stanton, is it?
Possibly. It's been a long time.
Anyway, the guy with Ziggy. Dean Stockwell. Dean Stockwell. Going around telling, "Oh, you need to get back to."
And he like takes over this guy's apartment and all of his clothes. Like,
eats his Pop-Tarts.
What's happening to the other? Is in his futon bed. You know, what's happened to this poor other guy? But also, like, no one else seems to have this problem. So when someone later on wishes for £1 million. They just get £1 million. When someone wishes someone dead, they're just dead. When she wishes for him to come back to life, surely he should just come back to life. So I got really confused as to why there was this other guy involved.
I mean, if he comes back to life, he is at the bottom, presumably buried somewhere. So
well, no, he went at the end of the film. He went up in the air, didn't he? Explode at the end of the first. He took something up and in the jet, and because that's what he says.
I genuinely don't remember.
Can you not remember? Neither can I. But when they're walking around like the Lincoln Memorial, he says, "Oh, the last thing I remember going up in the clouds, and that's the last thing I remember." I think he takes something and explodes.
That would make sense.
That's a bit of an indictment on I cannot remember what happened in Wonder Woman 1.
Could have done a Terminator 2 thing of seeing his body parts coming back together. But
yeah, I just thought it was a bit random. But I just didn't understand it. But
it did seem like a nice plot way to bring back Chris Pine.
Yeah, and I don't mind Chris Pine coming back at all. I think some of the best scenes in this film are between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. They really have a great chemistry on screen. I mean, she is hot to trot. Like, she is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Like, I cannot take my eyes off her. I don't know how she was invented, right?
I normally say that you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, but I totally agree.
Like, she's just amazing. And I know it sounds really like pathetic to go, oh, she's dead beautiful, but she just is stunning and so watchable. Like, she captures you, and I think she's such a beautiful, and I mean that in all ways of the word, such a beautiful presence on screen. You have, especially as Wonder Woman, who's meant to be this calming, this very very intelligent, emotionally intelligent person as well, doesn't really know how wonderful she is, sort of thing. And I think Gal Gadot really sells that, but also sells that idea of, well, if you've been, all your friends die eventually, and you get a shot at the beginning of, like, you go through all the old photos, don't you, in a house to sort of remind you of who was in, and there's a photo of her with like an old woman, and we both turned around and like, oh, it's Jasper Carrot's daughter,
Lucy Davis,
from the first Wonder Woman. So it's things like that. You get the impression that they've all died, and that she's left alone, and she doesn't have any friends or people that she can call on. And it's a very lonely life. So even though you're stunningly beautiful and everyone wants to go out with you, and she's constantly getting all these pests coming after her, actually there's no one but Steve that she can hang out with.
I mean, what we have learned from this film, though, if you want to be not harassed by men and want to look not beautiful, just put on a big pair of glasses.
Oh, I mean, but you know what? I was watching that sexual harassment storyline play out, and I still can't quite figure out if there's something, and I know there's something not quite right about it, but I can't put my finger on it. I'm really, really looking forward to listening to the other podcasts, and particularly from the women that I listen to get their view on it, because something didn't quite ring right about. So Barbara, we haven't talked about Barbara yet, but Barbara, played by Kristen Wiig, gets attacked in the park in Washington when she's walking back from a sort of like a dinner with Wonder Woman. But she knows she's Wonder Woman at the time. Yeah, I'm going into far too much detail in this. But anyway, she gets attacked by this drunk bloke in the park. Yeah. And Diana turns up and saves her, in inverted commas. But then later on she meets the same guy. And in her guise as someone who is strong and powerful, and she has sort of the powers of Wonder Woman at this point in time, she then beats him up and leaves him in the street. And I wondered whether there was more that we could do, or more that we could say about the sexual harassment of women, women walking alone in the park.
Yes.
There was something that just didn't quite
the mob justice of
for me,
yeah.
And I need to think about it more, as being really honest. I need to think about it more in order to articulate it better. But I wasn't sitting there going, oh yeah, kick him and get him in the ground, because that'll solve that issue.
Absolutely.
Particularly because that guy clearly had, this is no excuse, but that the guy clearly had a substance abuse issue, and I don't know whether we could have educated rather than beat him into a pulp. And I don't think that she gets anything out of that, Barbara as the character.
Well, it's meant to show that she's turned into a baddie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the other guy who she communicates with comes up and goes, Barbara.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Can we talk about Barbara?
Yes.
I really enjoyed that performance from Kristen Wiig. I'm a big fan of Kristen Wiig anyway. I really like the stuff that she's in. I really liked her in the latest incarnation of Ghostbusters, where it was an all-women.
She wasn't the problem with that. Yes.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah.
I really liked her in that. I like her in Bridesmaids, even though I don't like Bridesmaids as a film. And I really enjoyed her here. I really liked the idea of a woman who is, and although she is completely beautiful, and she is not an in inverted commas ugly woman, but they make her out to be someone who is perhaps quite dowdy,
plain Jane, super brain.
Yeah, exactly. Take her glasses off, and she looks,
she looks stunning before that.
I know, exactly. And all she has to do is tuck her jumper in and
take her trousers off to wear some leg warmers,
pedal pushers.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. But I liked it. I liked that idea of having another woman in the film to look at Diana Prince and to think, oh, you've got it all, and to be jealous and to be and when and to have people essentially bully her or not notice her, and to be alone and to be vulnerable and to be saying to someone, I've got no one to go to lunch with, no one really, I'm new to this job, and even the person who hired me can't remember me, and see someone and think, I wish I was like you. That's something very true to life, and it's nice to see it played out in this, and then understanding that actually that leads to more and wanting more and needing more and eventually turning into
a cat.
A cat at the end, yeah.
I didn't know that she was going to turn into a cat.
Oh, did you not?
No.
Did you watch the trailer for this?
I must have done, but I think I watched the first one, but not necessarily anymore. And I've not seen the latest one on purpose.
So I love the trailers, but the first trailer that I saw, because there was the big 80s soundtrack to it, which really, really got me. But the first one I had a real problem with. I think I actually talked about it in one of our After Work Drinks episodes.
Yeah.
Because the cheetah, that bit at the end where it's mostly darkness. It's sort of the final sort of 15 minutes, isn't it? Where Cheetah is battling with Wonder Woman, looked atrocious. It really looked. It wasn't even computer games are so good now.
Yeah.
It was substandard. It was about 1984 computer games. And I think at the time, actually, quite rightly, you said to me, they probably haven't finished and they've had more time now to do it.
Effects are done normally up to the week of the film being released.
Well, this is a world away from
or
what
a month
I saw.
afterwards if it's cats.
Go back in. But like I said, it's a world away from what I saw. I thought it was really effective because they kept going to her face, and it was actually her face with makeup on, and the rest of the body was mostly in darkness, and it was fur, but not in a cat's sort of way. I thought it was really effective, and the idea that she was consumed by darkness and consumed by the power, and all the way through, because I knew it was coming. You've got cats in the shots with her in the museum. She's walking past all the cat things. She's wearing cat print and animal print, and as the film goes on, she's wearing snake skin. She's becoming the cheetah all the way through, and even in Pedro Pascal's apartment, when he's on a sofa, there's a leopard print sort of thing on the actual sofa, so you've got the motif. There's an ice cream van going past our house, so I'm just be prepared for that, everyone. Wait for that to come through. So yeah, it's there all the way through if you're looking for it. I really enjoyed it, and I wish they had stuck with that rather than spending more time with the Pedro Pascal storyline. Do you agree? Do you think that? I think that's the weakest thing in this.
I think there is a problem that they have nothing for her to finish up with. She turns into a cat for reasons. Because
she wants to be an apex predator.
Because someone can go, oh, I have another wish. Because that's not the way this works, but it does now.
Yeah.
And she turns into a cat, and they have a little rook, and then
she gets electrocuted.
And then there's Popeye the Sailor Man playing in the background from the ice cream
van's coming past now, everyone.
Yeah. And then she dies. Or
she didn't die.
Well, does she not?
No, she doesn't die. She gets electrocuted, but she's fine. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
because she's in the cat guise.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and then at the
yeah.
end, you see her looking like herself,
Yes.
not like with the glasses back on. Or you see her looking lonely out onto the world, clearly having renounced her wish.
It was a bit pre-end of stage boss on a computer game.
Yeah,
there was
I
no
agree.
reason for them to fight and then just stop fighting at the end, and then nothing was learnt from that fight.
No.
It was just something for Dinah to do before she went in for the final
Went and get the
conflict.
final one. Yeah,
Because-
agreed.
Yeah, should we go on to Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, go on.
This is very different from his portrayal as Mandalorian, isn't she?
Yeah, and also from the character he plays in Game of Thrones, whose name totally escapes. He's the prince in Game of Thrones, isn't he?
Yes, the one who gets
Yes,
his head caved in.
dispatched
Yes.
quite unhappily.
Mm.
Yes, because in that he's really charismatic. He's very sexy. He's in the brothel all the time. He's
Yes.
he's the Playboy prince. And then in Mandalorian, again, he's very we don't really see him very much.
No.
But he's very enigmatic. He's a very different presence. And then this is very cartoony, and he looks very different. I'm not saying it's a bad performance. It's clearly meant to be an over-the-top performance. And he doesn't look... That's it, thank you. He doesn't look as we would typically know him, and maybe that's the attraction. Is in this one, he is playing someone who is essentially a televangelist.
Yes, yeah.
/ Trumpian vibes.
Stroke snake oil salesman.
Totally. Here it comes. And carry on.
I mean, it's only stopped $2 down,
Yeah, I
so
know.
you're going to get Popeye the Sailor Man ice cream version sometime soon.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So Pedro Pascal gets the great phallic monkey paw, marital aid, and for reasons I'm still not sure of, goes, I want to become that, and that's his wish.
He's been looking for it for a long time, hasn't he? They later discover that he's been following... We don't get any suggestion as to how he's come to know about this
I don't
at
think
all.
so.
It's just they find... Almost like, when they go to someone's lair and then they find blueprints and they
Yeah.
go, oh God, he's been looking for it, he's been searching for this for 20 years. And you get that sort of vibe from it, but you never really hear from him or anyone else how he knows about it, what it means to him, why he would ask for him to be the genie, essentially, what he gets out of that.
Why doesn't he just want...
Why doesn't he just say, I want to be really successful
Yes.
oil man?
But no, he wants to be the monkey paw. I don't understand his motivations in this. Let's put that politely.
Yeah. There is something with his son, isn't it, that where he wants his son to be proud of him. But again, I don't understand why he then needs to become the genie in order for his son to feel that way about him.
That was a weird subplot, wasn't it?
It was very odd, yeah. And then there was this idea that the little boy who's called Alistair he has him at weekends, you discover,
Yeah.
and then it's his weekend and he shouts and he's like, oh God, why is it my weekend? Now that doesn't suggest to me someone who really wants to spend a lot of time with their son.
No.
Or really cares about their son, so that didn't quite match up for me.
He seems like at one point, in one part of the script, he was a really rich, successful businessman who just got greedy, and then it was changed to being quite an unsuccessful businessman, but they've still kept bits of the script in there because he's got
messy.
He's got this big office, but nothing's in it.
Yeah, it's almost, it looks like it's been abandoned. It looked
Yeah.
like he had been successful, and someone later on talks to it and says, "Oh, we've all discovered it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
You've been selling us a lie. You've sold us these pieces of land, but actually they've got no oil in them."
So I like the idea of he gets people to make wishes on his behalf. I mean,
why do you like that? I don't really understand it.
because it's quite clever that it gives you more wishes.
Oh, okay. So if someone else wishes for something,
Yeah, when he says, "Don't you wish?" It goes to his driver and says, "Don't you wish that the traffic would just part and let us through
right,
to get
I
somewhere?"
understand. Yeah.
But it's very messy, and I mean, why does he tell people to shoot them instead of just grabbing someone and say, "Don't you wish our head had fall off?"
Right, okay. I mean,
And-
that's quite specific.
Well, it would solve a problem.
Okay. I don't understand the bit about where he goes to Cairo and he talks to the guy who's on the front of, I don't know what it was,
A magazine.
The magazine, and he's like the king of oil or something.
Yes.
And then he gets him to wish for, and he wishes for his ancestral lands to come back, and essentially then ends up building. Oh look! Oh, I mean, this is right on the nose, isn't it? A wall where the poorest people cannot access water. I mean, totally on the nose, but I just didn't understand why that did anything for Pedro Pascal.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
What does he get out of
has,
that?
He has loads of oil at this point,
Right.
and then he goes abroad to have a different scene of 10 minutes that could probably be cut out, and probably should, unless... I mean, they are trying to make a political point with this,
Yeah.
and it's probably a point that I don't think a stupid comic book film needs to go down.
I did like the, like I said earlier, I like the political nature of it, because then it makes it bigger, it makes it more, it talks about things that are in our current situation.
Does it have anything to say about them, though?
I don't know. I mean, I think it has the basic things to say about them, which is these things are bad. But yeah, I agree. Maybe I'm looking for things to go, oh, that's quite good. Yeah. And the bit at the end where Pascal's at the backdrop of the White House stand and the White House logo in the background, where the president would typically, where you go into a bunker but you've got all of the branding behind
Yes.
you can do that in Washington. When I was there, you're not going to a bunker, but you can go into like one of those shops that sell all the tat, and there is a podium with the White House banner behind, and you can have your photograph taken as if you were standing there making it in a presidential address.
There's also one of them in Vegas.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, we walked past it so many
did we?
times when we went.
Oh,
Both
next time.
times, yeah.
Next time
Yeah.
we'll do that again. So, but there's that set up in a bunker, and it seemed, and he was saying to people, and again, very on the nose. We totally get what they're doing here, but saying to, tell me what you want. Think, what do you want? I'll give you what you want.
Yes.
And we know that there are people out there who sell that sort of. I can't think of the word without.
Snake oil.
Yeah, but yeah, just.
Yeah.
Selling this dream, in inverted commas, to a certain section of society that isn't really a dream. Careful what you wish for, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good job that's not in the news at the minute, isn't
I know.
it?
It's really made me think about that at the moment. And like I say, the Trumpian side of things. Sometimes I think you kind of think, oh well, I kind of want to go to the pictures and not have to think about that. But I did appreciate the suggestions that he was making.
So, shall we get on to the ending of this?
Do we have to?
After we've had the reboot of Thundercats, Gal Gadot's gone and got changed in some armour that she had lying around for no real reason.
And was pointed out earlier, oh, what's that
Yes.
in your office? Oh, it's just some armour I had lying about. Okay.
It was, yeah.
It was some other woman's that we've never heard mention of before.
But,
And we don't know what happened to her.
yeah.
Okay, so later on, armour on,
Yeah.
defeats Barbara.
Defeats Barbara, yeah. Battle Cat. Chitara. So, Pedro Pascal, I forget what his name is in this.
If it's Max Lord?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Something like
yeah,
that?
that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. He's handing out wishes left, right and centre, like Oprah Winfrey. You
Yeah.
get a wish, you get a wish, you get a wish.
That's my favourite line of the podcast.
He's gone into... apparently, you don't need to touch him anymore, because someone once made a reference to a satellite stream that it was like touching everyone at the same time.
Metaphor.
So then that metaphor becomes real, and that means that someone can wish for something all around the world. And we
Yes.
get one of my least favourite tropes of all the tellies around the world going on at the same time, like in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And then you see people around the world getting wishes granted. Like, I wish you Irish lot would go back to where you
it's
from.
so like on the it's
Yeah.
because, and he's got red hair,
Yes.
and then the police all like come and bundle all these Irish people into I was a bit like, it's just not quite right.
And then I wish you dropped down dead, and then you see the woman holding her chest
and
and
later
falling
on,
down on the
you
back.
see the ambulance, like people trying to give her
Yes.
CPR
With nice cold milk thing on the sign. But then we see that when you get what you want, the world goes to shit. Someone wishes for loads of nukes, so Russia and USA start firing missiles that are all nicely posted around major cities by the looks of it, at each other. This is just...
it's messy.
incomprehensible bollocks. And I can see that they're trying to say something special and nice and like, but this is shit.
I like the sentiment. I like the idea behind it. I don't think it was executed particularly well. That's all really I can say about that.
Not being executed particularly well might be the understatement of
I found
2021.
the bit where he then, we'll get onto the bit where Gal Gadot then does a speech, which essentially is what happens in a lot of films, isn't it?
Which is utter shit.
Someone does a speech that makes someone see the error of their ways.
I want that on our wall.
Something about the truth, and I kind of switched off at that point.
I want to get that stenciled on our kitchen wall, like.
And then he renounces his wish, he runs off, and then suddenly he's like back in the middle of Washington, and he's shouting for his son. The streets are empty.
Yeah.
There's just mess everywhere. He's shouting for his son, and his son magically appears out of a forest, and then
randomly,
just random. Oh, there he is.
His son just went walking around Washington,
I know, by himself.
like along the motorway.
With all these people with guns and so and missiles going off into the air. But anyway, and then the son teaches him a lesson about being proud of him. Oh, actually, can I go back a bit? The bit that I was rolling my eyes.
It's appropriate to the storytelling in this, so yeah.
Rolling my eyes is Gal Gadot. Sorry, not Gal Gadot. Wonder Woman puts the lasso of truth around him, and then she gets flashbacks to his early life where he's been abused as a child.
His dad is beating his mum.
Yeah.
His dad is shouting at him for wetting the
Wetting
bed.
the bed, and then he's being bullied at school because he doesn't have the right, like he's got holes in his shoes, and then he goes to college and he starts a Ponzi scheme.
Yes. Misplaced.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. There's something to be said about we are the product of our upbringing.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite work there, and you didn't get any. That didn't come up any time earlier. We didn't get any sort of feeling that he's been bullied or he's been abused as a child, and this is what's happened. It's just suddenly, oh, by the way, this is why he wanted to do all these wishes, and it still doesn't make any sense. It's not like you see him. You know what? If you'd seen him, and I know it would have been still very tropey, but if you'd seen him as a child going, oh, I wish my dad would stop beating my mum, I wish my dad would, maybe that would have had more resonance, because then you see him getting his wishes later on in life. I'm making up plot points for the film now. Anyway, I've just had to remind myself
I think it was too far gone by this point anyway.
It was. But anyway, the son then teaches him a lesson that he doesn't need to be the best business man in the world because the son's already proud of him, and then everyone hugs and
smash cut to Christmas.
Yes.
I mean, it was July 4th during the actual film plot, so presumably this is 6 months later.
Yeah.
But that's never really made
Beautiful
clear.
scenery, lovely little Christmas market, lots of snow, kids being idiots and throwing snowballs at Wonder Woman. Not very nice.
She should have just blasted it off.
Blast it back at them. That would have... Because that kid, he goes, oh, sorry. But he actually, he like proper served it at her back. I wouldn't have been turning around. No, it's fine.
And she bumps into the guy whose body Chris Pine took over.
In the outfit that she created for Chris Pine, that Chris Pine was like, why would anyone go out? I like that outfit. It's a lovely little scarf. Very nice.
Do you want me to get one?
No thanks. I think we're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have a lovely little chat, and off he goes.
Yes.
And that's it.
The end.
The end.
Apart from
a
post-credit scene. So, at one point, for no real reason, there is a plot point where we find out that one of the goddesses stopped behind when the Amazonians were being taken over by men.
And they built an ark, didn't they? They built her armour made of all of their other armour to encompass her, so it was totally... It goes around her, and that's the armour that Diana wears later on in this film.
But she never found this this
they
goddess.
Never found her again. They didn't know what happened to her.
And so we bump into her.
She's walking down the street with like this flowing gown with dark hair. You're meant to think that it's Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
But then she saves a baby from being electrocuted by
telegraph post.
A pole.
Yeah, well, it's like a telegraph pole comes down, doesn't it? And she stops it. No one bats an eyelid.
No.
It's like someone just like someone stopped someone falling into them, not a massive wooden pole.
Yeah, she just pushes it back over.
Yeah.
Anyway, the mother runs after in that way that they do in all these superheroes.
Abandoning her child.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, how did you do that? And then she turns around, and lo and behold, who is it?
It's bad CGI Linda Carter.
Do you think that was bad CGI?
I think there's some de-aging going on there.
Oh, okay. I thought she just looked great.
I mean, yeah, but Linda Carter... Should we see how old Linda Carter is? She'll be 70.
Right.
Pushing 70.
I thought she looked like a really good 70 there.
Yeah, she looked too good a 70.
Okay.
Right, I may be wrong. Yeah, she was born 1951. She's 70 this year.
Well, good for her.
She does not look 70. She looks like she
don't
does.
think so?
She did in 1975.
I don't think she did, hun. I don't think she did. I think she just looked very, very Wonder Woman glam at this end. I didn't feel that she'd been de-aged at all.
Okay, well,
but there we go. I didn't look for very long.
Let me tell you now. If she's not been de-aged by CGI, she's been de-aged by a surgeon.
Maybe she just has a really good moisturiser.
Yes, she uses oil of Olay.
Yeah. Oh, that's from the 80s.
Yes.
That's changed now, you know.
What's it called?
It's oil of Olay now.
Why?
Oil of Olay was like what it was like in the 80s and 90s. Don't ask me. I don't know why they changed it.
It's like how Jif became Sif.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot like that. Like Snickers. What was that? Was that Marathon?
Yeah, but that was actually in the 80s. That changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop now then.
Starburst and Opal Fruits.
Yeah, I said let's stop. I think we've come to a natural conclusion.
Yes. So, how many stars would you give this?
I was giving it 4 most of the way through, and your face, yeah, don't look at me like that.
Inside out. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's a standard 3 for me. I think I enjoyed it probably because we haven't seen anything. Well, I haven't seen anything new. Big block, I love a big blockbuster, so I haven't seen anything like this for quite a while. I looked forward to seeing it. I think if it was on a different day, it might have gone to a 2.5. I think if it was on another different day, it might have been a 3.5. I'm skitting between those two, therefore I've gone for a 3.
I think 2.5 is about right.
I think you're probably right.
I couldn't recommend this to anyone, but I had fun for at least half of it.
I think I would say, I'm thinking of some of our friends, and I would say to them, what else are you able? We're stuck in the house at the moment. It's all very dour and very sad at the moment, and things are not brilliant in the world. Stick on this for a bit of fun. Do it in sections. I'd be like, do it one night, do it the night after, because it's absolutely worn me out.
And there you go. That's the quote for the poster.
Do it in sections. It's worn me out.
What else are you going to do?
Everything's very sad and dour in the world. This'll do.
Elaine Gregerson, the Honeymoon Period podcast.
Brilliant. I'd be quite proud of that. 2.5 to 3.5 stars. Can't make a decision.
Some days it might be 2. Some days it might be 3.5 stars. Elaine Gregerson, the Honeymoon Period podcast.
I think that's a very honest review. Okay, let's leave it there and maybe go and have a lie down.
Yes.
Thanks everyone for listening to this Wonder Woman date night.
Yeah, date night. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be back with a proper date night at some point in the future, won't we? Where you get to pick a film and I get to pick a film, and we'll go back to that as well, like we did last year.
Yes, and I think we've got an actual proper main show coming out soon, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got a main show where we're going to talk about the TV that we've watched over Christmas and sort of New Year.
All we really watched over Christmas was darts.
Yes, we did. We watched a lot of darts over Christmas. Well, I might mention that a little bit on the main show, just to sort of put it in there, because I think we need to acknowledge the amount of darts that we watched over Christmas and New Year. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be back with some more main shows. We know it's been a little while since we've put something out, so we're ramping it back up with the podcasting.
Yes.
So look out for main show, after work drinks, date nights. They're all coming your way over the next couple of weeks.
And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Honeymoon Pod.
Yeah, just a reminder, we're on there.
And if you would be ever so kind as to go onto iTunes or your podcast platform of choice and leave us a review or a nice big 5 stars, we'll be your best friends when you come to our party.
Yeah, when we're allowed to have a party again.
Yes, absolutely. Cool.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
See you soon. Bye.